Hi everyone, welcome again to QSO 321 People, Planet and Profit. And today we are going to look at process analysis. Previously we looked at operations and now we are looking at process. And process is how things are done. And therefore, process analysis is to analyze a process to see if there are some problems and how those problems need to be resolved in order to improve the process and make sure that it is effective and efficient. Process analysis is a continuous activity, meaning that problems will always be identified and they will always be resolved. There's no any point where we can say that the process is all set and there are no problems, but normally problems are there and there is always room for improvement. And therefore, the analysis of a process is something that is continuous and the process can be improved from one point to another. So then how to improve a process? So the first thing is problems should be identified. That's the first thing, and recorded. And they will be recorded in the check sheet. So let's look at an example. Here we have a number of defects. We have defect A, B, and C. And so these problems can be observed over a period of time, let's say 8 hours in a day. And therefore, in the first hour, the observation may identify problem A, which can happen 3 times, and problem B can happen twice, and C may happen once. And so they will be recorded. And then for the next hour, problem A can happen once, same as B, and C can happen twice. And so it all depends on the occurrence of these defects. And so within the 8 hours, anytime when these problems happen, they are checked by using the tallies. And so by the end of the day, the occurrence of these problems will be counted. And so at the end then, we may find how many times problem A happened, how many times B happened, and also how many times C happened. So in this case, you can see that this problem happened 11 times, and defect B happened 10 times, and problem C happened 9 times. And so we can use the bar chart to plot the frequency of occurrence of these defects. So we can plot the problems which we have identified, and we can see we have problem A, problem B, and problem C. And we can see that problem A happened 11 times, and problem B occurred 10 times, and problem C happened 9 times. And so we can plot it this way. And now we need to show which of these problems is severe, meaning that if any of these problems happen, then which one will cause more trouble to the process. So we can use Pareto chart to identify which one of these 3 problems is significant. And in that case, it requires more attention than the other. So the problem that is more severe will need to be resolved first. So you can see that problem A occurred the most and problem C occurred the least. And normally, problems that occur many times may not be severe, but problems that occur the least normally are severe. So we can show the order of importance by using the Pareto chart. Pareto chart can be drawn like this. And so in this case, you can see that this problem will be more severe than problem B, and problem B will be more severe than problem A. And therefore, a decision should be made to solve problem C first, and then when that problem is resolved, we can solve problem B, and then we can also solve problem A. And so this is what we call the Pareto chart. So as we have mentioned, the Pareto chart indicates the severity of the problems. And in our case, we can see that problem C is more severe than problem B and A, and therefore we need to resolve problem C first, and then once this problem is resolved, we can resolve problem B, and that will be followed by problem A, which is the least severe. Now we know that problem C is the one that requires immediate attention. To resolve this problem, we need to find the root causes. So what are the causes of this problem? We may assume a number of causes. So we can say C, or problem C, is a function of all the causes that we can identify. We may come up with, let's say, 3 or more. The next thing that we need to do is we need to test each one of the causes. We can test them by using correlation, and also we can use a scatter plot. So we have another example like the one that we just looked at, and in this case we have five problems, and the slow service is the problem that occurred the most, and the cold dinner occurred the least. But we can see the order of severity by using Pareto chart, and we can see that the cold dinner is more severe than the slow of service. And so to solve these problems, we should start with the cold dinner, and then we move backward. When we finish all this, then the last one will be the slow service, that is the least severe. Now, as we discussed, we have to identify the causes of the problem, meaning that in this case, we can identify if we identify the cold dinner to be the most severe, then we will need to find out what are the causes so that we can deal with the causes for the food to be cold. And we can assume a number of causes, and then we'll try to test each one of them by using correlation and also the Pareto chart. We're going to look at one example, which I'm going to ask you guys to work with me and submit that as your classwork. But looking at this, we can see the scatter diagram, which is plot for two variables. And these variables are productivity and absenteeism. So in this case, productivity depends on absenteeism. And so we can say productivity is a function of absenteeism. And you can see the dots sloping downward. And that means there is inverse relationship between productivity and absenteeism. So the more absent employees are at work, the less productive they are, and the less they are absent, the more productive they are. So there is, as I have said, there is an inverse relationship between productivity and absenteeism. So from the example that we have shared, we may look at the number of causes, and so we can try to find out if there is any significant relationship between the two variables, and if there is a significant relationship, then we'll try to find out what kind of relationship is that. Is it negative relationship or positive relationship? Meaning that with negative relationship, or we can say negative correlation, then that means when one variable increases, the other one will decrease, as we have seen for this example. But the positive relationship is when one variable increases, the other one will increase. For those who took economics, will understand that when we look at the relationship between price and quantity demanded, that one has negative relationship, and so the slope will slope downward. But when you look at the relationship between price and the quantity supplied, then the relationship will be positive, meaning that when you increase price, the quantity supplied will also increase. If you go to your course menu, you will see 3 files posted. One is process analysis problems. The second one is the process analysis PowerPoints. And we have one file in Excel, which is the Pareto chart. I'm going to ask you to open process analysis problems to see a number of problems which we need to work on to find Pareto chart, and also to find correlation and scatter plot. You can see that problem number 1 is all about a number of problems with their frequency, and we are required to use the Pareto chart to identify the vital few delivery problems and look at the potential root causes of these problems and identify any especially egregious or outstanding bad or shocking quality failures. And then we have another problem which I'm going to skip this for now, but let's look at problem number 3. And this has 2 variables, which are carbon content and permeability. And all we need to do is to show if there is a relationship between permeability and carbon content. And so we can use the scatter plot, and at the same time we can use correlation to see if the correlation is significant. And also we're going to use the scatter plot to see what kind of relationship. Is it negative relationship or positive relationship between carbon content and permeability? Now we will start with the first question and see how we can create a Pareto chart. We've been working, we've been doing a number of problems by using Excel. And all I'm going to ask you is to open your Excel file and work with me to create the Pareto chart. And that's what you're going to submit as your classwork assignment. So I'm going to open Excel, or you can copy these values and you can paste them in Excel. And so this is what I have. And so in this case, we have a problem, and also we have the frequency, how many times these problems happened. So you can see that the topping stack occurred 17 times, and also we have late delivery, which occurred 35 times. And then we have partially eaten pizza, this problem occurred just 3 times. So let's try to create the Pareto chart to show the order of significance of these problems. If you have opened your Excel file, then click on the insert and you can see a number of charts that you can select. Will you please highlight this and then just go to the recommended charts, and then you will see that the Pareto chart is there. If you're using Mac and if you don't see it here, you can go to the statistical, and then you will also see that the Pareto chart is provided there. So you can either go with the recommended charts or you can use the statistical, and then you can select the Pareto chart. And I'm going to select the Pareto chart here and see the severity. Now in this case, you can see that the partially eaten pizza that occurred in the list is more severe than the pizza delayed. This one is the least severe, and that's why it occurred many times. But the partially eaten pizza occurred just 3 times, and that is really serious. In fact, who will eat pizza if you find there is a bite on it? This one I will not tolerate, but I can actually tolerate when the pizza is late. And so if I have to solve this problem, I'll start with this problem and then go to the wrong size, the no-show, the wrong crust, wrong topping stack, and finally I will deal with pizza late. This chart is not completed yet. If you're using Mac or Windows, you can go to the Add Chart element, and in this case, you can define the axis, which you can define the title. You can provide the title of your chart, and also you can go to the axis titles, where you can label the x-axis, and also the vertical. You can go to the chart element and also select the primary vertical, and so you can label this. And please do so and make sure that this will be submitted, and don't submit without labeling your chart accordingly. So that's all about the Pareto chart. Now we will work on the question about correlation. And so this is the problem, and all we need to do is to draw the scatter diagram. Let me copy this and paste it in Excel. You can open another worksheet, but make sure that you have to label the worksheet, and this one I could label it the Pareto chart, and then open another worksheet and you can paste your values. And so in this case, we can see the permeability is a function of carbon content. And we'll try to find out if there is a strong relationship between the two variables. If we can find that carbon content is significantly affect permeability, then we can deal with the carbon content. And if the relationship is weak, then we may not even deal with the carbon content. We look at some other factors that will be the causes of permeability. And so in this case, we can start by looking at correlation. And let me define correlation. Correlation is the value between 0 and positive 1, and also between 0 and negative 1. So when correlation is -1, we can say that we have perfect correlation, and that correlation is negative. But also when we have correlation equals to 1, we can say there is a perfect correlation, and that correlation is positive. So we may find the middle value where we can have 0.5, and also we have -0.5. So in this case, when correlation is less than -0.5 towards 0, we can say that that correlation is not significant. It is almost same as 0. And also, if correlation is less than 0.5 positive towards 0, we can say that that correlation is as well not significant. It's just same as 0. However, if correlation is 0.5 or any value towards positive 1, we can say that the correlation is significant. So we have significant positive correlation between the variables. It is the same on the other side, that if correlation is -0.5 or any value towards -1, we can say that we have significant negative correlation between the two variables. So that being said, we can try to find if there is a correlation between permeability and carbon content, and see if that correlation is positive or negative, and also if correlation is significant or not. So all we have to do in this case to find correlation between these two variables, we can use Excel function, and therefore you can put equal sign to activate the function, and just type CORR, and you can see that we have correlation. Now you can click on the correlation, and so we have to select the first array and put the comma sign. And so I'm going to select from the carbon content, and then I'm going to put comma sign, and then you can select the second array, and so select everything, and you can close the bracket, and then you can enter. So you can see that we have a correlation which is negative, and it is 0.55. So my question is this correlation significant or not significant? Well, we can say that this correlation is significant, and it is negative because it is it's beyond 0.5 negative, and it is towards -1. And so this correlation is significant. If it was less than 0.5 towards 0, then we could say that there's no correlation, or correlation is not significant. So conclusively, we can say that permeability, there is a significant negative correlation between permeability and carbon content. So that's one. Now we can plot the scatter diagram between the two, the permeability and carbon content. And so you can go to insert, and then you can select from the recommended charts. And so here we can have this scatter plot, or you can go here and we have XY scatter, and then you can select this one. You'll get exactly the same. And so you can also label the chart. You should go to the add chart element. You will need to label the primary horizontal and primary vertical. So we need first of all to label this, and then you can label the axis titles, where you need to label the x-axis and also y-axis or the x-axis or the primary horizontal, and also the primary vertical or y-axis. So you can label your chart accordingly. Please do so and submit what we have done. But finally, there is something that we need to show. We can see that the dots slope downward, and this can be indicated by using the trend line. So will you please go to add chart element and then go select trend line, and so we can use it is actually linear, and so you can select and you can see that the trend line goes downward, meaning that our values slope downward, and that shows the negative correlation between the two variables. So I want you to do exactly what I have done, and that will be your classwork. Don't forget to label the axis and also to provide the heading. And please label this, so you can rename this as scatter plot, and also correlation. And please submit the Pareto chart and the scatter/correlation file. But make sure that these two classwork assignments are added to the file that you've been working with from the beginning.